Hello, darlings, and a very warm welcome to Wednesday. A very warm welcome to Wednesday Night Live. And it's jolly decent of you to give up your time at this late hour of the evening to spend it with me and all of your fellow bugs and dear chums in the old Boaty's World community. And I'm thoroughly looking forward to what is always my favourite hour of any particular day. Oh, yes. How are you, darlings? How has your day been? All of the usual questions. How's your day been? How you feeling? What have you been eating? What have you been up to? Hopefully you're all happy, full stomachs, warm, dry, and just generally full of plumptiousness. And well, let's just dive into it tonight, shall we? I've been getting behind with comments lately, and tonight I'm determined. Oh, yes. I'm determined to keep up. To keep up the good work. Jimmy Quinn is here. Good evening, Boaty and all. Good evening, Jimmy. The lovely Peter P. says, evening all. I had chicken salad today. Look, before I even asked, you guys are amazing. You know what I want to know before I even tell you. I'm just going to have a slurp because I feel I've earned this today. Cheers. Your very good health. If you'll slurp along with me, whether it's an alcoholic beverage of some kind or perhaps a cup of Horlicks or a mug of tea. Bottoms up, darlings. Oh, that's very nice. And hasn't it been lovely? It's been lovely and warm and sunny here. Hope it has been where you are too. And it's going to get warmer. Friday, it's going to be mid-20s, darlings, in most places in the UK. Now that is tropical. Huh. So, what are your plans for the first really sunny weather of this year? Picnic, day out at the seaside, a thrash through the hills in a convertible with a roof down. Let me know. Oh, oh, that wine is just working its way down. Oh, God, that's a lovely glow. My God. Oh, lovely. Andrew Buttygig is here. I'm a Spotty Butty. A very good evening, Boaty and everyone. Matron is with us. Evening, everyone. Hope all you lovely people are well. And Matron has got a food report. Food today, chicken, bacon, avocado and tomato. And I'm about to have a hot cross bun because Mustard munching on his stream. You can't munch on a stream, Tracy. A stream is water, so you can't munch on it. You could slurp it or guzzle it, but you can't munch on it. Anyway, Mustard munching on his stream has made me hungry, and I might have some cheese on it. Ooh. I had a Chinese tonight, says Jimmy Quinn. Be precise, Jimmy. What did you have? And for later, oh, the late night snack. You've got to have a late night snack, haven't you? I've got champagne pate, but I think he means pate. You do know how to live, Jimmy, says Matron. Ahoy, hoy, Boaty and all, says the wonderful Ed Usher. It's expensive to keep my figure, explains Jimmy. Oh, and Jimmy's also going for a very large gin and tonic. If you're going to have a drink, have a gentleman's measure. That's what I say. Even if you're a lady gentleman or a gentleman lady, have a gentleman's measure. Always have a gentleman's measure. Good evening, all, says Bad Books. We had pork loin and salad for tea. Ah, pork loin and salad. That's taken me by surprise a bit. I don't tend to associate pork with salad, but maybe that's me. Maybe I'm just tremendously out of the loop these days. Leela Shakespeare is here once again. I'm here again today. Indeed you are. And what a welcome addition to our little fold you really are. So welcome again, and lovely to have you. Neil is here, aka the Givinator, aka the very nice man. Hello, Mr. Boaty, sir. How has your day been? Just got back from the Works team building night and have been roped into walking Snowdonia on the 18th. Do you actually mean walking in Snowdonia, or do you mean walking up Snowdon, Neil? I've done both, and you will love it, and I highly recommend it. And as for my day, you know how my day has been more than anybody. Here comes the willy waving class, says Ivor. It's not loading for me, says Matron. Oh dear. Well, hopefully it's sorted itself out. Oh, and finally it's got there for Matron. Took a few refreshes. Oh, Neil took Sophie to Starport today. Starport on 7, darlings. A place where I used to go as a child. There were little boats on the river that you could hire. She had a little drive in Harry Seacombe in the car park. Did she indeed? It's been a great day. And I even had a chat with Mr. Boaty. We did have a chat, didn't we, Neil? And I'm sorry if our chat took place when you were having a lovely day out with your good lady in Stourport on 7. I wouldn't have interrupted that for the world. But then you rang me, so I don't need to feel guilty, even though I didn't answer because I was driving. And then I rang you back. Stourport on 7. Hang on. Hang about. Harry Seacombe's manual, isn't he? So you've got Sophie driving a manual. Excellent. Good work. And well done you, Sophie. I bet you were brilliant. I can't wait to see Harry Seacombe. I really can't. For those who don't know, Harry Seacombe is the name of a car. And it's a car that Neil bought from, well, he bought a third of it from me, a third of it from Captain Mustard, and a third of it from the unknown banker. You know, it needed a bit of love. And we were delighted it went to Neil and Soph because we knew that it was going to the most loving home you can possibly imagine. And Neil has worked magic on it and lavished his time and expertise and quite a few quid as well. And I just can't wait to see it. And we are planning a meetup because I've got a car of the same flavour as his. For those who know about these things, if you're not interested in cars, don't worry. I'll start talking about socks in a minute. It's a Rover 600, and I also have a Rover 600 called mine is called, oh yes it is, Windsor Davis. And Windsor Davis and Harry Seacombe are going to get together for video purposes very soon, and I can't wait. Marvellous. God, I'm enjoying this, and I hope you are too. Chilly mornings, then followed by pleasant afternoons, says Ivor Spotty Butty, who is no longer from these shores. He comes from a land in the far, far away, many long way, far distance, many weeks travelling in flibby, flabby boat, or about, it's about 24 hours, isn't it? If not a little bit more, well, plus stopover probably, in a great big silver bird flying in the sky, long way away. Chilly mornings, pleasant afternoons will probably change in the next few weeks. Chris Maguire is here and says, evening, Boaty. The M11 is here and says, good evening, everybody, as she opens out her arms to embrace every single member of this fabulous community, who regular viewers will now be aware, who will represent her community on a Monday night when she appears on your portable electric devices and spouts filth about 1980s children's television characters, if her microphone is working. My plans for Friday, says Matron, going for lunch at a Thameside pub. Oh, that sounds like I don't know why I'm doing that, but that sounds like a bit of all right, does that? When I was at work, I don't know why I said that twice. And I feel as if I could be on the verge of saying it for a third time. It was a quieter night tonight at work. Unexpectedly quiet it was. And as I'm sitting down at about the 9:30 mark, trying to stay awake and doing some paperwork and doing some admin and whatnot, I popped Captain Mustard's live stream on to see how my best pal was doing. And then out of interest, because I was watching on my telephone, which I would only ever do at work, and I don't do anything on my telephone other than telephone. I mean, yeah, you can use it for text messages and WhatsApp. I try not to. I hate doing anything on my portable electric telephone because I'm a large man and I've got large hands and large fingers. And portable electric telephones are small things. And I can't tippity tappity type on them. I can't do that something that the children do. I try to do everything on an iPad. So really, I try to use my portable electric telephone for filming or taking telephone calls. But as I was on it at work, so I don't take an iPad or a computer of any type to work. Well, not usually anyway, on the odd occasion, if I've got a particular job to do. But so I'm on my phone. I thought I'll have a look at this vertical live feed thing. So I'm sure you all know about it, or maybe you're a bit late to the party. If you're watching a live that is recorded vertically, so that way up, not like this is landscape. If they're doing a live in portrait mode, like what Mustard does, and I know that's wrong and I don't care, then you appear on and if somebody is watching it on a portable electric telephone, then you have something called a vertical live feed. And it's like, imagine, on a fruit machine, you've got the drums with all of the different characters on and they spin around. Well, it's like a single one of those. So you might be watching one live stream, but you can flick up or down and look at all of the other or a selection of the other live streams that are happening at any one moment. And that is why it's been mentioned before. This was introduced about 3 months ago, something like that. And YouTube tell you to do your live streams vertically. So, and the idea is that by having this vertical live feed, the idea is that you will get a load of different people into your live stream because people will just flick through all of the live streams that are happening on this vertical live feed, and they will have a nose at each of them, and if they like them, they might stay. And that is why live streams suddenly went from having 30, 40, 50, 60 viewers and overall 300 or 400 views to having 160 viewers at any one time and overall 3,000 or 4,000 views. And it was all very exciting for a lot of people. I decided I didn't want to do it. I like the containment and the intimacy that we have here. And I've had a couple of experiments, admittedly, but I didn't want to change the dynamic by having a load of strangers come in. I just like it the way it is. I don't care about the numbers per se. I don't monetize this while it's being live streamed. It's genuinely just community time for you lot to chat amongst yourselves, for me to chat to you, you to chat to me, and it's just a bit of community time in a safe little space, and it's just hopefully a little refuge and a little respite from the day. Admittedly, on a Monday, now that we're doing a joint live, me and the M11, we have no choice but to do that vertically, because you can't do a joint live horizontal, as I found out on Sunday when we did our practice run through. So on Monday, we were on this vertical live feed thing, and we did indeed pick up some random people, some of whom were quite rude, but fortunately Matron was moderating and she shoved the broom at them and saw them off. But it's, it's quite nice. I wouldn't want it all the time because I value this little space for, all of us fellow members of the inner scrotum. But on a Monday, it's something a little bit different, and that's quite interesting. And you never know. Out of all of the random people who came in, and our numbers on Monday were, well and truly up there, really quite gratifying. But you never know. Out of all of the random people that pop in, some might just be popping in because they like being rude to people on the internet. Other people might pop in and think, what the bloody hell is this? I'm getting out of Dodge City. But other people might look in and think, I like this. I would like to become part of this. And they might become valuable community members. Anyway, the point I was trying to make is I'm at work, I'm watching Mustard, and I thought I'll have a little scroll on this vertical live feed and see what else is on there. Now, the next one that I came to, the next live on this vertical live feed, next to Mustard's, was a guy called Brian Cockerill. And I don't know if any of you are aware who Brian Cockerill is. Now, if you were part of, how can I put this? If you had any connection with the criminal underworld over a certain period of time, then you would have known who he was. You'd have been aware of him. But then he became a bit more visible when they made a television program about him called The Taxman. And opinion is very much divided on Mr. Cockerill. I find him quite an interesting chap. I didn't find him an interesting chap back in his day, particularly, but I find him quite an interesting chap now because, he's of a certain age, isn't he? He's well and truly past it. And he talks very, very openly about the things that went on and, certain people. And a lot of things come out of people that you were aware of that are really quite unexpected. I'm particularly thinking, and apologies if you've got no idea who I'm talking about, but he talks very openly about a man called Paul Sykes, who first came across my personal radar when I was about 19 years old. And some of the things that have come out recently, in some part due to Brian, are really quite eye-opening. Now, Sykesy is long gone, bless him. And, I don't literally mean bless him. But, yeah. So that was a live next to Mustard's. And I didn't bother watching any more of Mustard. I watched Brian Cockerill instead, and I found it really quite interesting. And I'm going to, because I didn't know he had a YouTube channel. I had no idea at all. And I'm actually going to watch the whole thing live after this. And I say the whole thing probably about 20 minutes before I fall asleep. Hey, chaps and chapettes and Boaty, says John Stoodley. Oh, Ed Usher says, I'm in the doghouse with Barbara. Now, Barbara is the good lady wife, not to be confused with the housekeeper, whose name I've forgotten. I'm in the doghouse with Barbara. She caught me wearing a skimpy little silk number in the summer house today. I thought she was out shopping in Tunbridge Wells, and now I'm spending the evening in the outhouse. Ah, well, that was last night's live, wasn't it? That's what led you down that dodgy path, wasn't it, Ed Usher? Never mind, they'll soon forget. Oh, details from Jimmy. He had the house special fried rice and house special chow mein and a pot of curry sauce. Jimmy, that's a forgive me, and each to their own, as the old lady said when she kissed the cow. But that sounds all wrong to me. I mean, rice and pasta. What was the chow mein? Oh, how special chow mein. Yeah, so I suppose you've got meat and seafood and other things in there as well, but rice and pasta? Probably large portions too. Oh, it seems a bit much to me. Oh, no, I wouldn't. Oh, no. I couldn't be doing that. You know, rice noodles is an or thing, not an and thing as far as I'm concerned, but each to their own. That's a right load of carbohydrate, though, isn't it? In it. In it, though, bruv. I haven't had a Chinese takeaway or a sit-down meal in a Chinese restaurant for 3 years since I'm telling a lie. I had a sit-down meal in a Chinese restaurant with the lovely Neil and Sophie in Rill at a rather nice restaurant, actually. And that was last year, late last year. So it hasn't been 3 years at all. It's been about 6 months. And bloody nice it was too. And if you're interested, we had a couple of shared starters that we shared between all of us. And the chili chicken wings were to die for. And then I went for beef with ginger and spring onion with rice. Noodles and rice, I wouldn't do that. I mean, I love noodles. I made noodles for my lunch today, and they were absolutely superb. I really enjoyed them. Did my normal trick. got a packet and bastardized it. Added my own bits and pieces, spiced it up, added meat, added vegetables, all of that sort of thing. And they were jolly nice. I enjoyed them very much indeed. And I'm really looking forward to my lunch tomorrow, darlings, because lunch tomorrow is going to be sausage lyonnaise with pomme puree and, sausage and mash with onions if you're not trying to sound like an overprivileged up yourself dick. But I've got some nice sausages that were on offer in Sainsbury's. And supermarket sausages, they can be nice now if you get the decent ones. And I'm going to make some lovely buttery, peppery mash and some nice gravy. I'll actually make a nice onion gravy. I say sausage lyonnaise. Lyonnaise in French culinary terms just means cooked with butter and onions. But what I'm actually going to make is I'll make sausages and onion gravy, and I will actually make the onion gravy I'm going to bake the sausages or roast them or whatever you want to call it. I'm going to put them in my little mini oven. You know the one. You know I never used the big one. Hardly ever. I've used it 5 times in 9 years. Still looks like brand new in there. I use my little mini. Sorry. Better out than in, darlings. So I'm going to bang the sausages in my little oven, and then I'm going to make the onion gravy in the roasting tin, possibly with the sausages still in there. Oh yeah, I can be out there. I can hang it out like a crazy cat. What? I should rub it up. I might be in God's waiting room, darlings, but I'm still willing to take a chance on doing something a little bit outside of the norm. There's life in the old dog yet. Oh, God, we had the most fabulous couple in the restaurant tonight. Absolutely lovely. They're my new best friends. They were lovely. Absolutely lovely. We had a really rowdy party of big old table of young lads in. And when the young lads cleared off, the rest of the restaurant by then was empty. And this lovely couple of a certain vintage kind of just chilled out and enjoyed the peace and quiet. And there were no other customers in there. So, and they were lovely people. So I had a good old chat with them, and we had a really good chat. They stayed for about an hour after they'd finished everything, and I gave them a couple of drinks on the house, and they were just absolutely lovely, and they're going to be very regulars, and hopefully friends as well. They were so nice. I like to do that sort of thing. It's not always appropriate, darlings, and it's not always possible. Sometimes you have to be a professional restaurateur, and people are happy doing their own thing and whatever, or you're really busy and you just give good service and that's it. But sometimes, when it's possible and when it's appropriate, I like to be a bit chummy with the people in the restaurant, and many customers have become, I think, really quite good friends. And in a lovely divergence of worlds, then some of my customers who've become friends are now also devoted viewers of the channel. Paul, I'm talking about you, and others. Oh, and the lovely Tim, of course, and loads and loads of others. So that's wonderful. And viewers have become customers because you lot have been to the restaurant. I've got more coming on Sunday. I've got more coming on Sunday. So that's all a joy. And there's been another divergence recently as well. Now, you know how long I've been trying to get a bit of a crossover between my UK singles community and my YouTube community. And there was a little step on the way. The M11 has joined my singles community, and I'm gonna try and bribe her to shake the buggers up a little bit and see if she can inject a bit of life back into the doings there. But there has already been some of my lovely singles people watched the joint live stream on Monday, and they've commented in our Facebook group, in Boaty's World Facebook community group. And so, maybe, that in itself is nice. If any more happens, so much better. But I'm feeling very warm and fuzzy, and I'm just feeling like love is all around at the moment. God above. But I'm looking forward to my sausage and mash tomorrow. I really am. I really am. And I'm not just saying that for the sake of something to say. I obsess over food. I plan my meals days and days in advance. And I'm looking forward to my supper tonight as well, because my noodle lunch, and I'm going to be quite honest with you, my noodle lunch was not particularly capacious. And I haven't grazed tonight. I've not been grazing in the restaurant. I try not to do that these days because, quite honestly, darlings, and I'm not going to hide my fat, disgusting body from you. My veranda over the pleasure gardens is too big. It's too jolly well big. I am the size of a thing that's too big. And I'm trying to graze less. Now, all of my life, after I retired as an athlete, then I've taken some steps I'm naturally heavy. Oh God, I can't, without going into all of the details, everybody has a mix of brown and white fat cells. And that's kind of a genetic lottery as to what makeup you get. If you've got more brown fat cells than white, if that's the way that you're born, you will be naturally skinny, and you will really have to work really hard to become overweight. If you're born with the opposite, more white than brown, you will naturally be heavy, and you will have to work really, really hard to get thin. And unfortunately, that's my makeup, entirely genetic. My father was the same and my grandfather was the same. Now, my grandfather was an Olympic athlete. Both he was a runner and a gymnast, and he was a regimental sergeant major in the Paras. He was a career army man, and he did his athletics whilst in the army. My father was a multiple record holder, national and international champion cyclist, and they both really struggled to get down to what we call racing weight, the optimum weight. And as soon as they ceased their athletic doings, then no matter how healthy their diet was, and they did have a very healthy diet throughout their lives, they were always overweight. And I'm exactly the same. I am naturally disposed to be overweight. Anybody who knows me knows that I don't eat excessively. I carefully control my portion sizes. I don't, well, before the restaurant anyway, I never have snacks in the house. I don't have anything sweet or sugary in the house. I don't eat in between meals, blah, de, blah, de, blah. And yet I will still be overweight. When I was an athlete, I would have to do so much more than any of my teammates to get down to weight. And indeed, bear in mind that I started competing when I was 7 years of age, and I was national champion by the age of 10. The first time I properly got down to weight was at the age of 17 going on 18, where certain things had happened and I had certain opportunities to do something really amazing, and it had become clear that I had, quite a talent. And in that winter, I put in a ridiculous winter. I mean, my compatriots, or my enemies, or my colleagues, or my competitors, whatever, they would do a certain number of base miles, and then they would do their speed work, blah, 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 on top. I would have to do triple the base miles. And I've never done it before. But that winter, I went absolutely mad. And I started putting in 1,000 miles a week. Just let that go through. 1,000 miles a week in basic training before I did any speed work or anything else of that nature. And that finally did the trick. I finally got down to proper weight. And that made all the difference in the world, because most of the time, then my particular athletic discipline was all about power to weight ratio. And you can be the most powerful guy in the world. And I was one of them. But if you're carrying too much weight, you're not going to be ultimately competitive. And when I finally got that last bit of weight off, it was like a bloody revelation. It changed everything. And I went from being a promising or good or competitive national and European athlete to being a world beater. And it was, oh God, it was such an amazing feeling. Why am I talking about all of this? How did I get onto all of that when I was just talking about Jimmy Quinn's Chinese takeaway? Oh, enough of the nonsense. Back to you people. Right, Trisha Alderman is here. Hi, Jason and all in chat. Trisha, the lovely Trisha. Sophie can drive a manual, says Neil. Good for her. Yeah, of course she can. You'll have pointed her in the right direction. And, you know, Sophie is a very determined and ambitious young lady. So even on her own, she would do all sorts of wonderful things. And having you there to encourage and support her, so much more. A very, very nice Rover 600, says P2P. They're both very nice now. I've got a full suspension rebuild kit coming, says Neil, for him. New shocks, new springs, all the arms and brakes and wheel bearings will be like brand new at MOT time. Oh, and we're going up the Miners Pass up to the tip top of Snowdonia. Right, I've done that more than once, Neil. It's fabulous. You will love it. You will love it. The last time I went up Snowdon was on the train, and if I ever go up again, it'll be on the train. But I've done the walk several times. Mark on Motoring is with us. Good evening, everyone. Sorry I'm late. Hope I've not missed anything. Not a thing, Mark. We were just killing time until you got here. I was just blathering a load of nonsense until you turned up. And now that you're here, I can churn out my premium product. God. And we all know that that is a great big lie. Matron says, I hate typing on a phone too. I prefer a keyboard in front of a nice big monitor so I can write and send essays to my lovely long-suffering friends. You do like to write an essay, don't you, Matron? You've got farmer's hands, Boaty, says Jimmy F500. I'm a one-finger man. I don't like portrait mode either. Oh, God, I hate it. I hate it. And he seems so far away. Now, I'm sure that some or most of you saw Monday night, right? This phone is further away than the Monday night phone, but I'm filling all of the screen, aren't I? Whereas, and it's lovely, you get a bit of the area that I'm in, you get me, you get the flowers, you get the things on the table that there used to be more things on the table and you all bullied me into getting rid of them. You can see that one of the candles is finally cuffed it. That one's going to hang on until the end. Whereas Monday night, the camera was closer than this one, but in portrait mode. And I looked as if I was about 3.5 miles away. I don't like it. But from a channel point of view, the extra numbers that you get from the vertical live feed are nice, undeniably. And whilst some of the random people that pop in can be a pain in the ass, some of them can be absolutely lovely, and there's always the possibility of growing the community. I wouldn't do it on a nightly basis for all of the reasons I've already given, but once a week, and for mine and M11 show, which is a different dynamic to this little low-key community chat, I think it works very well. And quite honestly, I'm quite excited about next Monday. We can learn from our mistakes. I can reposition my camera so the lovely M11 and I appear to be on the same level. Well, the same level visually anyway, not intellectually. I'm always going to lack in that department. I can't help being a bit of an old sickie. Well, there we are. We all have a cross to bear. Oh, Russ is here. Dino Dad. Hi, gang. How are we all? Well, all the better for seeing you, mate. All the better for seeing you. Um, And Mustard's here. Hello, rubber plants. Captain Mustard. Good old Captain Mustard. Oh, how was your stream tonight, my dear chap? I hope you really enjoyed it. Yeah, I remember we had a little conversation a couple of days ago. Yeah. I'm probably only going to do one every other day, probably. Yeah. And then last night, live stream. Tonight, live stream. Tomorrow, there'll be a live stream. It's addictive. It is addictive, darlings. And I'm not going to rip it out of Mustard for doing one on a nightly basis because I'm here in your face every night when you've got better things to do. Mark on motoring. Have you seen the new R5? Asked Ross. I don't know what that is. Hello, Captain Mustard, the man, the myth, the legend, says Neil. Barry Scrotter says, I'm considering getting a set of nut splitters. And Matron says, ouch. Nice work on Fred, Paul. Looking forward to seeing the progress. And again, that's from Neil, is that? Matron, says Mark. I struggle to type on my phone too. Can't see what I'm typing without my glasses, and the keyboard is too small. We all feel that pain. Well, many of us do anyway. I can't do bugger all on my phone. And I did try having one of the larger Apple iPhones, but that's just inconvenient to carry about, isn't it? And yeah, I had an Apple. Not an Apple. I had an iPhone 7, whatever it's called, Plus Max thing. You know, the bigger one. I mean, it didn't really make it much more usable than the normal one. I still needed to use my iPad, and it was more inconvenient to carry around. And above all, because at the time I had that, I'd started doing YouTube. It's really bad for filming because being bigger and a bit heavier, when you put it in a windscreen mount on a car, it shakes more. Maybe that doesn't matter so much now that they've got better stability management. But yeah, I did. After that, I thought, no, I won't bother. I'll stick to the small ones. And I have done. But as I have said, not knowing enough about iPhones and Apple products, um, I didn't understand the difference between Pro and Pro Max. So all of my iPhones, and I say all of them, I've got 3 currently, and they're all old. I've got iPhone X, half broken, and that's what you're watching me on now. That is my permanently fixed up live stream phone. I've got an iPhone 11, which is here in a case, and that is my phone, but occasionally does filming duty or live stream duty as needed. Indeed, Mondays are filmed on this chap. And then the newest model that I have is this, my iPhone 13. And that is, well, this also double function. This is my usual filming phone because it's the newest, so it's got the best camera. But this has also got my business stroke channel show SIM in. So, you know, if you ring the show number, my business number, whatever, then that's this phone. So I'm going to burp again. Oh, dear me. And this one has got my personal number on it. But the mistake that I made when I got them, obviously I went for the cheapest ones because I'm a very poor man, both morally and financially. But if I knew then what I knew now, I thought the Pro Max one was just the bigger one. I didn't realize that there was a Pro and a Pro Max, and the Pro has got a much better camera than the normal one. So I should have gone for the Pro, but not the Pro Max. And The next time that I get to upgrade a phone, which I don't think will be this October, I think it will be a year this October, unless I become insanely rich and do an early upgrade. The next one I get will probably be, I never get the latest model, they're too expensive. I normally get 2 models back. So the next one that I get will be an iPhone 15 Pro, which my friend Sean assures me is a wonderful bit of kit. He's actually got one now, the jammy bugger. Oh, and he did go for the Pro Max, I think. But there we are. You live and learn, don't you, darlings? I mean, the one bit of solace that I and everybody else can take is that the content that I create is of such low quality that it's not really worth filming it on anything half decent. My last sit-down meal in a Chinese restaurant, says Matron, was Worthing in May 2022, and it was excellent, just round the corner from the Premier Inn. I don't share Boaty, says Jimmy Quinn. Oh, right, we're talking about the R5, and I don't know what that is. Mustard says, Neil, the job isn't good, talking about Fred the Shed, but I wanted to make it a bit better. That dent was horrible. Yeah, that was the horrible bit about Fred the Shed. Don't worry about the fact that the interior doesn't work and it hasn't got a headlining. If you get that dent sorted and a bit of fresh paint on it, make all the difference. Bless him. He's got a real thing about Fred the Shed. Barry Scrotter says 8 pints, Singapore fried rice when it was good, and gravy and chips used to be an old favourite of mine. Now the takeaways have got stingy with the meat, etc., so I don't bother. Well, I'm glad you don't bother. Singapore fried rice, chips and gravy. That's an outrage. Absolute outrage. That's a disgrace. But I'm sure that takeaways have got stingy with me. And honestly, if you knew how much prices have increased for ingredients or whatnot, you would understand it. We have not compromised on our ingredients, and we have not in terms of quality or quantity. And that's a very deliberate decision that we took. But we were able to take that decision because we are successful. Our costs have increased over the past 18 months, 2 years. Our costs have increased by anywhere between 100 and 600% in terms of, you wouldn't believe what we have to pay for onions now, tomatoes, even the most basic sort of things. Don't get me started on how much oil costs and etc., etc. We decided that we have just increased our prices finally by about 50 pence on average per item. But we have not changed our ingredients in terms of quality or quantity. And as a result, our margins have decreased considerably. But we're fortunate. Our restaurants are successful. We can afford to do that and absorb the additional cost. We're not going to risk. Well, we're not going to risk what Barry has said, that they've skimped on this, that, and the other, so I don't bother anymore. We weren't going to risk that, so we made the decision that we would just maintain. Yeah, okay. Now after 18 months, we've upped the prices a tiny little bit, but nothing like in line with inflation. And we waited ages and ages to do it, and we didn't want to do it, but in reality, we should have upped them a bit more, if anything. But there you are. Sausage leotard sounds interesting, says Peter P. Oh my God, welcome Boaty's maiden burp. That sounded like it came from the depths of hell. Neil's talking about Fred the Shed. Was it the Crankies in the restaurant? Asked Ross. Loads nicer than the Crankies. Don't get me started. If you're in the Facebook group, you will be aware of how the investigation into the death of Rod Hull is going. There are quite a few of us on the case now. We're trying to reopen investigations, and oh my God, the things that we have found out. I'm not going to go into too much detail. You need to look on Facebook, but we have implicated so far Giles Brandreth, an unknown minor member of the royal family, Jeanette Cranky, obviously. And what's her name? Nicola Sturgeon, all implicated. Can't say too much. This is too public, but investigations are ongoing. Matron is on the case. The M11 is on the case, and the M11 had a major breakthrough today. So get on the Facebook group, Boaty's World on Facebook. You can't miss it. And you can keep up to date with wherever we go. Oh, God, don't plan on making Fred the Shed into a catering unit, Neil. Oh, God. The only exercise I've ever found to be effective for weight loss, says Mark on Motoring, is cycling. A few hundred road miles a week and a bit of off-road for fun does the trick. Well, that was my sport, Mark, so you're leaning against an open door with me there. Thanks for the heads up, says Neil. I was genuinely shitting myself about that walk, as I have no time to prepare for it. Oh, it's not that severe. It's not that severe at all, Neil. If you've got a basic level of fitness and they do it at a reasonable pace, you'll be absolutely fine. I've not done a massive amount of that sort of thing, but I did climb Kilimanjaro, and that was terrifying. Because then you're introducing really serious altitude. And if you've ever tried doing anything at altitude, it's ridiculous. It is ridiculous. Ask anybody who's done anything like that. Your final day climbing Kilimanjaro is you spend the entire day trying to walk about 1.5 kilometers. And the majority don't make it, and those that do are pretty much in tears all through the experience. And it's all to do with the reduced levels of oxygen in the atmosphere. The simplest thing becomes incredibly impossible rather than difficult. But Snowdon is cool. It's and you're doing the miners, aren't you? Yeah, it's actually pleasant, Neil. And you're a fit lad. I know you're a big chap, but you're a fit chap. You and I have jumped up and down staircases in random hotels. You'll be absolutely fine. You'll deal with it fine. And I think that you will love it. If the weather is with you, then the views are utterly, utterly sensational. You were talking about starting a YouTube channel, Neil. Film it. Film it. Oh, R5 is short for Renault 5, Boaty, says Mark on Motoring. There's an all-new electric version due. Okay, now it makes sense. The Renault 5. I was very fond of the Renault 5. Very fond. And even when I was a young man, now, of course, there was a Renault 5 GT Turbo, and there was a Renault 5 Gordini as well, but that's a really specialist kettle of halibut. Now, when you're a young chap, it was the Renault 5 Turbo that was de rigueur. I never liked them. They were too fragile, too peaky. They blew up they just blew up, basically. What did they used to do, Mark? Was it, did they do the heads? Or did they blow they always blew something. I can't remember what. My favourite Renault 5 was let me think. I think it was the Monaco. the Monaco. I love the idea of small cars that are absurdly luxurious. Like, I'm sure it was the Renault 5 Monaco, had beautiful leather interior like the Renault 25, had electric windows, all of that sort of thing. I think they were, I think they might have all been automatic as well. And I thought that was fabulous. Peugeot 309 Goodwood was the same sort of thing. Peugeot 205, Roland Garros, was it? Same sort of thing. And on a lower level, even things like the Austin Metro Vanden Plas, I thought they were all great. But I used to have a soft spot for Renault back in the day, including the Renault 5. I loved the Renault 25. I always felt at home in those. I loved the 21. Not so much of a fan of the 19, but I loved the 16. Oh, the 16 TX. I loved the 20. Again, TX for preference. And of course, I loved the 30. Again, TX for preference, which was, and the 30 shared the power plant with, if I remember correctly, shared the power plant with the Peugeot 604. I think it was a 2.7 V6 that was shared with the Peugeot 604, which I adored beyond all reason, and the Volvo. Oh, was it the 264? I think 264. I think it was. My dad had a Renault 30 TX and I loved it. I loved the 16 TX as well, just because it was a weird combination of Citroen 2CV and luxurious Renault 30 type of thing. Anyway. Oh, and it is midnight, darling, so we need to start winding down, saying our good nights, and the hour has just flown. And I've loved every minute of it, and I thank you all for being a part of it. I will, of course, get through all of the comments before I bugger off, and I will tell you, no point telling you what supper is, it's curry. It's always curry. I'm not complaining, it's amazing. And I've told you about lunch tomorrow. Although I've still got a craving for my emergency pie. And I've got a craving for battered sausage, chips, and curry sauce. But enough of that. There we are. Now then. Hello! He said he was going to pop in. Samrat! Yay! He said he was going to pop in. Bless him. Everybody say hello to Samrat. He is he's lovely. Well, I can't remember if you met him before. You've seen him on videos, and I talked about him when he was away in Nepal, very sadly for a very sad family loss. He's been back at the restaurant for, oh God, coming up for a week now. It's a joy to have him back. He's a lovely lad. Oh, and he's coming on a Wales video with me. He's coming on a Wales video with me, and possibly Prem as well, the Tandoor chef. So he said he was going to come into a live stream, and here he is. So namaskar. Lovely Samrat. Honestly, he's lovely. Come to the restaurant. He will serve you, and you will be delighted. Thanks for popping in, mate. You're a good one. Where did I get to on the old comments? All right, okay. Yes. No, it wasn't. Yes, I did that one. We did that one. Oh, I did that one. Oh, and I did that one as well. And right, I've caught up now. The way everything has gone up is terrible, says Barry Scrotter. It's horrendous. Neil says it's a right pain in the arse when your favourite takeaway changes the recipes we had. Changes the recipes. We had an amazing Indian by me called Medina, and it went down the pan very quickly when the prices of things went up. Not everybody can absorb it. Not everybody can absorb it. And it depends where you are and what type of restaurant you are and what your competition is like as to whether you can put your prices up without losing your customer base. Now, Indian restaurants, which are Bangladeshi restaurants in the UK, they tend to be, in all honesty, they tend to be much of a muchness. They'll be doing the same dishes in the same way, blah, 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 blah. You know, they haven't got a niche. They might not have anything to set them apart. And most people order, truth be told, depends on the area. But if you're not in a particularly affluent area where you can market your produce on price in a highway, like saying, yeah, buy this, we're the most expensive in the area. And we're the most expensive because we're the best, we're the most prestigious. And if you're in a rich area, people will say, well, I'm rich, I deserve the best. Of course I will order from you. But if you're in a less well-off area, then people are going to go on to takeaway apps or whatever, and they're going to go where it's cheapest. They're going to go, if it's a takeaway, they don't know what's good and what isn't. They're going to order wherever it's the cheapest, to be honest, on the basis that their expectation is that it's going to be pretty much the same, much of a muchness. If they're booking a restaurant, they'll probably book the one where you can take your own alcohol, so you're not having to pay 20 quid for a bottle of wine. So not everywhere can afford to up their prices. If you're in an area with lots of competition and you're in an area that isn't particularly affluent in terms of your customer base, then you know realistically that if you increase your prices by the same level that your stock intake has increased, you're going to lose all of your customers. So what can you do? All you can do is reduce the portion size or reduce the amount of meat or reduce the quality or tweak the recipe. And I feel for businesses in that situation, to be honest. But of course, as a customer, as an end user, it's disappointing when you've got something that you loved and they have to change it. But, you know, blame God for COVID, or, well, actually, no, don't blame God for COVID. COVID helped. COVID helped the restaurant trade, unless they were too thick to take advantage of it. But what didn't help the restaurant trade was Vladimir Putin and the Ukraine invasion. So blame Putin for your takeaway prices increasing or decreasing in quality. We were forced to change, says Neil. Went up to 9 quid for a curry, and you were lucky if you got 4 pieces of chicken in it. Tried Curry Lounge, and it's amazing, bit more expensive, but you struggle to finish half of it. Is that the Curry Lounge Dudley Port? Asked Barry. Same company, says Neil. Try one if you're local. Honest to God, it's the best curry place around Dudley. I might well do, says Barry Scrotter. The Red Line is good, but they don't deliver. Also, Boaty, I'll let you know how it goes as I'm doing it the Saturday before we come up to see you and Paul, says Neil, talking about Snowdon. Brilliant. Okay, that'd be cool. And 9 quid a curry. honestly, you would really struggle to put a decent curry out for less than £9 these days. That's about the price point that we are for takeaways. But as I say, we have drastically reduced our margins because we've maintained quality and quantity of ingredients. And if you looked at the chicken that we buy, it is ridiculously good, different level to what most takeaways would use and most restaurants as well, I think. Basically, when it comes to the raw ingredients, our policy has always been we buy the best that is available, and we haven't changed that. Mustard says Facebook news. Okay. Right, we're back to the Renault 5 now. I used to like the Renault 5 GT Turbo, says John Stoodley. Very nice. Rare car now. Yeah, rare because they all blew up. Head gaskets were an issue, Boaty, says Mark. Yep, the Monaco was a luxury model with either a 1397cc engine and 3-speed auto or the 1721cc F-Series engine and manual gearbox as used in the Volvo 480. I had a Volvo 480. I had the turbo. And I remember it as being a very nice car, but the pedal setup was all wrong, all in the wrong place. Really awkward and hurt your legs or hurt your feet. Oh, and the luxury Peugeot 205 was a Gentry. That's right. Neil says, I was going to say, Mark, didn't they used to do the heads if you drove them too hard? That was it. Good night, chat, and good night, Boaty, says John. Jimmy F500 says, yeah, most of the Renaults with numbers were nice. 4, 9, 12, 16, 18, and others too. I had a 4. I had a Renault 4. I had the van version with the Citroen 2CV type gear change up there in the old dashboard. Hubnut has reviewed a luxury Mini, says Ross. Yeah, he reviewed the wooden picket Mini. I've driven one and I've traded one, but I didn't watch a video, I'm afraid. Good night, Jason in chat, says Trisha. Samrat says, thank you, boss. He's taking the piss there. He's the boss. He's the boss in that restaurant, and he bloody well knows it. Oh, I love Samrat. He's a lot younger than me, but he gets UK humour, and we've got a brilliant relationship where you can tell that we're really good mates because we take the piss out of each other like nothing you would believe. Now, when Samrat came into the chat, he said, hello, old man. And that is his normal greeting for me because he's only a fetus. He's about 9 years old or something. And he will always, and his regular greeting for me when I come into the restaurant is, hello, old man. And either I'm glad you woke up today or well done on waking up today. And then whenever we go home, we'll say, try not to die in the night. Because, of course, to him, I am impossibly old. But that's quite cool, It's quite cool that we've got a really good relationship where we can take the piss like that. And it doesn't matter that I'm old enough to be his father or almost bloody grandfather. And it just makes going to work a joy. So, and as I say, Samrat is going to come and do a Welsh video with me. And that's going to be absolutely brilliant. I'm so looking forward to doing that. And no doubt he'll appear on other videos as well now that he's back in the house. Mark says, John, Most Renault 5 GT turbos were modified in the max power and or crashed. Original cars are very desirable. Neil says there's one sat in the driveway by Merry Hill, as we used to call it, unmodified in black, and they won't sell it. Neil, that's very kind. Neil, who has eaten at the restaurant and other food from the restaurant, says, yeah, I get £9 for your curries because they are bloody amazing. And that's from somebody who has sampled them. Neil came to our restaurant, sat down and had a jolly good meal and was very complimentary about it. Neil says, Mark, head gaskets and hot start issues from fuel evaporation were issues. I think the Phase 2 facelift had some improvements, but many ended up highly tuned. Yeah, I think that was the problem. Everybody went to town on modding them, didn't they? Left original, there would have been a better bet. Have a lovely night, everybody, and sweet dreams, says the M11, who is, almost certainly lying in bed with covered in crumbs from scampi flavoured fries and oh, there's a thought. Good night, all, says Peter P. Goodbye, Boaty and all, says Jimmy Quinn. Sherry does her normal trick. Gotta be me. Sherry pops up just as we're about to go. Hope you're all having a good day. I'm standing outside the house waiting on a Walmart delivery again. Almost passed out in the bathroom. That's probably 100% no exaggeration. I must escape. We're going to come and rescue you, Sherry. Sounds awful. Good night, everyone. A pleasure as always, says Mark. I had a few Renault 25, says Mustard, and they were great. I loved the Renault 25. I loved them. They were like a poor man's Jensen Interceptor. I've not yet driven a 25, says Mark, but I've reviewed a Safran. Oh, I had loads of 25s. I had loads. And that is it, darlings. I've caught up with the comments. It's midnight. I'm going to say good night to you all. And thank you so much for your company over this last hour. And please join me again tomorrow night, same time, same place, 11 p.m, Thursday night live. And in the meantime, I wish you all a very safe and peaceful night. And I hope that you have the best day tomorrow. Take joy from it in any way and any how that you possibly can. And just take great care of yourselves. And hopefully see you tomorrow night, 11 o'clock. Thank you again for being amazing people and just generally, by being wonderful, making life a little bit better. Much love, Pachu, and indeed, a big Renault 5 GT Turbo, bosh.